What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P, and we are back here once again. You already know what it is when you see me in front of your TV. One thing is for certain, and three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats, not none of that static. And number three, and perhaps the most important number of them all, number three, we want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And you may be asking yourself, how, Don, how, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very simple. I'm glad you asked, and I'll let you know right now. You got to smash the like button. You got to subscribe and you got to share. And sharing is indeed caring. So when you shared this stream with your uncles, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your cousins, your neighbors, your sisters, your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, you name it, then you have indeed cared about those people. And it doesn't matter in which order you do these things. As long as you have done those things, you have indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. You already know what it is. What up to everybody in the chat? It is Victory Tuesday. Victory Tuesday. Back in full effect. The Detroit Lions won again after losing a game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Detroit Lions, for the third and a half year in a row, keeping it going, have not had a losing streak. A losing streak really is defined by a streak of losing. You lose one, and then after that, you lose another. And then you could go on to lose another, or you might just rectify that situation. A losing streak is defined as 2 losses in a row, 2 or more losses in a row. It is amazing that the Detroit Lions have not lost twice in a row in 3.5 years. It is actually quite crazy. And it's like, man, let's just see how long we can keep this going. So every time you lose, you got to make sure you don't lose after that. It's just quite simple. What up, though? Jody Carruthers, what up, though? What's that? Gotta hold on. Heatherine Mims. All right, Heatherine. What up, though? What up, though? Tactical Sport. Victory Tuesday is right. What are we gonna do without a Lions game for almost 2 weeks? Man, I don't even know. Is the UFL on right now? No. I have no clue. I know it's gonna be a show every day except for Friday. And then there's going to be a lot of red zone for me. Sunday. Yeah, so I'm just gonna try to enjoy the rest of the NFL. Which that's all we got. That's all we got. So we got a game coming up. What's today? Tuesday. So we got a game coming up in 2 days. That's Thursday night football. Then we got the Sunday slate of games, and I don't know. Michigan State is playing this weekend, I guess. I believe that's what I'm told. So maybe I'll watch that game, maybe I won't. Depends on what time it comes on. Hate watch the Packers. We definitely could do that. We definitely could hate watch the Packers. I do that every week, though. I do that every week. Jason and Brooklyn Zamilska said, "What up, Don P? Let's go. One pride worldwide." What up, though, Jason and Brooklyn Zamilska? Nice to see you. Mr. Detroit City comes in. He says, "Hello, down under." What up, though? 51 games without back-to-back losses. Grit, don't quit, says Brit, do it. All of that rhymed. All of that rhymed. We will keep going and moving forward. This is what we will do. Pistons start back this week. I would actually have to. I guess basketball is going to be on Prime. I might catch it. I might not catch it. Who knows? November 2nd at 1 p.m. The Michigan and the Michigan State game. 1 p.m. is 5 a.m. for me, or 4 a.m. for me right now. I doubt it. I doubt that I will be catching that game. But go blue as we do. Got the YouTube package. I'll probably just rewatch us beating everybody again. I do have Game Pass, and I could just go through that again. But it is what it is. Maybe break down some all 22. But yes, we've got a packed show to get into. We've got some rumblings. We've got some we've got some IG posts, and they're cryptic. And you know, these players with their cryptic IG posts, they do them for a reason. Um, One is to get you talking. Two is because they're the only ones that know exactly what they're tweeting them or posting them for, and it's gonna get everybody talking. So, what do we have in store for today? Well, we've got some JMO news. And that'll go into what we want to talk about when we're talking about how the offense looked. And we've got some numbers that we will look at. But let's talk about this defense. All right. Now, everybody's calling them the Legion of Whom. I call them a who's who of who he played for. If y'all don't know the who he played for situation, you got to go and look at the inside guys, you know, Ernie, Shaq, Charles, Kenny, those guys. Okay. And they have a segment on their show called Who He Played For. And they'll show you a player, right? And they may give you the player's name or whatever, and they'll be like, who he played for. And a lot of times Chuck don't know. So if you showed us Arthur Mollett, if you showed us Eric Hallett, if you showed us Thomas Harper, if you showed us Rock Yassin, well, Rock Yassin is not what we know Rock Yassin. But if you showed us those other three, you might say who he played for. Because last night, if you weren't a diehard Lions fan, you did not, Nick Whiteside, who he played for, you did not know who these people were. You saw them on the field wearing Lions jerseys and an unfamiliar name on the back of each one of their jerseys. What's a Hallett? What's a Mollett? What's a Whiteside? What's a Harper? Who are these people? Who the fudge are those guys? That's what you were saying to yourself, and it didn't matter. It did not matter. We wreaked havoc on Baker Mayfield. On Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, there was a lot of talk. Obviously, when Baker Mayfield goes out and has a game like this, people go, oh, see, that's Cleveland Baker. It wasn't Cleveland Baker. When you do that as a Lions fan, you are actually taking credit away from the Legion of Whom or the who's who of who he played for. You're taking credit away from your defensive line, who, oh, by the way, has Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson is a beast monster. He is a phenomenal player. Any of you people who don't understand what Hutch has to go through, there was a tweet. I don't remember the person who tweeted it out, but the tweet was talking about the chip rate. Now, if you don't know what the chip rate is when they send a running back or a tight end, someone out to help, to chip Hutch on the way out, to impede his process and his progress to the quarterback. Right? We're going to chip him and we're going to slow him down from getting to our quarterback so that our quarterback can stay upright and make the play that he's trying to make. There are two people on that list in the entire NFL above 30%. TJ Watt's at 39% or something like that. Aiden Hutchinson is at 56. 56% of the time, Aiden Hutchinson on a pass rush snap is dealing with multiple people. Okay? That means that you are not even getting one-on-ones every other pass rush snap. Okay? 56% of the time, Aiden Hutchinson is dealing with multiple people. Okay? He is getting chipped. The back is coming out, getting the shoulder into him, right? The tight end is helping on him 56% of the time, which makes the things that Hutch does even more incredible. He's leading the league, I think, amongst defensive ends with strip sacks. I think he has 4, right? He should have a total of 9 sacks this season because 3 of them got taken away. And this game was like, he didn't get a sack this game. And it was crazy, right? Now, last year he did have 4.5 sacks. So you probably understood that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers said, not this time. Now, when he had 4.5 sacks, we didn't win. And we had another offensive stinker last time. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, look, if you have an offensive stinker, and I know yesterday I was very, very critical of the offense. I was very, very critical of Johnny Mo. I still don't think, and we're going to get to it, okay? But also, if you have an offensive stinker twice in a row, back-to-back times that you play this team, it might be something that Todd Bowles is doing, right? The same way we talk about Baker Mayfield having an off game. He had an off game because of something that the Legion of Whom was doing, right? Because of something that Coach Shep was dialing up, because of something that defensive line was doing, because of something that Aiden Hutchinson was doing, something that Aleem McNeil was doing. And because of what Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil were doing, we had Tyrus Wheat showing up with 2 sacks, right? A punch out and a trip sack. I mean, that's not a thing, is it? They call it a strip sack, but a trip sack is not a thing. But he had a trip sack. It didn't get called. So, hey, they owed us one anyway. Okay. Tyleik Williams comes in and has a good showing against the run and so on and so forth. DJ Reader was able to rotate because he's been dealing with a back issue and he doesn't have to play every snap because Aleem McNeil is back. So you can now rotate Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Tyleik Williams, Robin. Is it Robin? Roy Lopez, and so on and so forth, right? So you can get all those guys in there and get them going. So shout out to the Legion of Whom, shout out to the defensive line, shout out to Coach Shep for a magnificent game. All right. This game was a game in which Troy Aikman looked at the situation. Troy Aikman, who used to play football at a high level, I think he played for 15 years, said this was the best defensive effort he's ever seen. Now, he didn't say this was the best defense he's ever seen. He said it's the best defensive effort. Again, there were not any starters in that secondary. Not a single starter in the secondary. Okay? Now, what was different from what you saw last year? Well, while there wasn't a single starter in the secondary, last year you had there wasn't a single starter in the secondary, and then there was one starter on the defensive line, and then there was one starter in the linebacking core, and so on and so forth. So you had everything going at every level that was just bad. Okay. This year, fortunately, there was an entire unit out, which was the secondary, but everyone else was healthy. Okay. Speaking of everyone else being healthy, I just remembered a guy who we haven't talked about in a while. And no, it's not Marcus Davenport. What happened to Josh Pascal? Remember, he was supposed to be back in early September, or he was supposed to be back by the end of training camp, and then he was supposed to work in, and then he would get in early September. What happened to Josh Pascal? I don't even hear reporters asking questions about that guy anymore. What happened? Has anybody gotten any updates? Has anybody, I'm serious. If you know something, let me know what happened, because I have zero clue. Let me get to some of y'all comments. All right. No, the Lions play Minnesota at 1 p.m. on the 2nd. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I definitely have to be up for that game. Lord have mercy. I was getting comfortable with these, these games that are in the prime time, because then I don't have to get up. Michigan State, 7:30 p.m. Yeah, I'll probably watch that one. No nicknames until they win it all. Well, I mean, they are the Legion of Whom. Nobody knows who they are. Nick Whiteside is from my hometown, Saginaw, Michigan. Facts. If you get a chance, take a look at all 22 films. Breakdown of the Lions defense, pretty good. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. High chip rate, went on the couch snacking. No, we talking about Hutch. They have a real leader this year who empowers his players and elevates their play. Shep, look at AG and the mess he has been making since day one with his Aaron Rodgers stuff, then Fields, etc. I just think he personally didn't like Aaron Rodgers and he didn't want to coach him. If you would have told me that we'd hold Tampa Bay to 9 points and win by double digits, you would have laughed. I don't even think he's going to make it back. I've heard it could be the cancer that he's dealing with in college in his foot. I think that that's what it is as well. Because they said it was a non-football illness. So if that's the case with him, we know that that's what it is. Pascal got replaced by Muhammad. He did, but we haven't heard anything about him. That's why I'm asking. Nick Whiteside played for my St. Louis Battlehawks in the UFL. Facts. Right. But this is just for sick. Like, you are a sick man, Denzel Vance, if you watch the UFL. You are a football junkie. You have it in your veins. And you hit it like crack rock. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even have the sound pulled up. I ain't even gonna try to find it. I don't have it pulled up. So let's look at some of the numbers from this Lions and all right. From the Lions and the Buccaneers game. Houston sucks. I just like, did anybody know this? Houston is absolutely garbage. When you have a so-called franchise quarterback in CJ Stroud, and you just start trading away offensive linemen and you don't replace them with more, I don't know what the key is. All right, so let's go over the numbers. We're gonna go score by score. First quarter, Detroit Lions 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers nothing. Second quarter, Detroit Lions 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3. Third quarter, Detroit Lions 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6. Fourth quarter, Detroit Lions 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 0. All right. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only managed to put points on the board in quarters 2 and 3, while the Detroit Lions put points on the board in every single quarter. Now, the fact that they scored 7 points in the first, 7 points in the second was pretty laughable. Probably should have been 14 in the first, 21 in the second, or some sort of combination of the two, whatever you want to say. All right. So Baker Mayfield, 28 completions on 50 attempts. Now, what happened last time we played these guys at Ford Field last year in week number 2? Jared Goff had a similar stat line. Jared Goff threw 50 times, right? And I don't know what his completions were, but he threw 50 times. And the thing was, if you're going to throw 50 times, you're going to lose. Well, Baker Mayfield just proved you correct once again. Baker Mayfield threw 50 times this time, and they lost. Now, don't look now, but Baker Mayfield's completion percentage was just over 50%. 28 of 50. Had he been 25 of 50, he'd have been 50%. So he was just over 50%. That is quite a feat and quite an accomplishment. Okay. He averaged 4.6 yards per attempt. He had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Now, I don't know, like the sacks that they do on ESPN, it's like 4 of 18 or something. I don't know what it is. Anyway, his QBR was 23.7. On the flip side, Jared Goff was 20 of 29, 241 yards, 8.3 yards average per attempt, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Okay, I don't know does anybody know what the sacks mean on ESPN? It says like 4 of 26 or 4 to 26. I don't know what it means. Anyway, his QBR was 29.4. His rating was 91.3. Baker Mayfield's rating was 66.1. Okay. So QBR is a little bit different, right? Rushing, Rashad White, 10 carries, okay, for 38 yards, 3.8 yards per attempt, no touchdowns. Sean Tucker, 1 carry for 4 yards. Teddy Bridgewater, 1 for 1. I don't know if it was -1. Yeah, okay, because Teddy Bridgewater did get in there and kneel it down. So the team finished with 12 carries for 41 yards, 3.4 yards per attempt. The long was 7 yards by Rashad White, and there were no touchdowns. Okay, Jahmyr Gibbs, we know 17 carries for 136 yards. I'll get into that when I get into the offense. I don't want to get too far into the offense. I just want to show you the defense, how we really lock these guys down. All right. Receiving, Cade Otton had 7 receptions for 65 yards, 9.3 yards per catch. No touchdowns. His long was 20. Tez Johnson, 4 for 58, 14.5 yards per catch, 1 touchdown. His long was 22. Emeka Egbuka, 4 for 58, 14.5 yards per catch, same as Tez Johnson. No touchdowns, long was 30. Sterling Shepard, 7 for 25, 3.6 yards per catch. No touchdowns, long was 11. Anyway, Tez Johnson is the only one that scored a touchdown, so I'm not going to keep saying no touchdowns. No rap deal. Ryan Miller, 1 for 14. 14 was his long. Rashad White, 4 for 6, 1.5 yards per reception. 5 was his long. Sean Tucker, 1 for 2, 2.2 yards per 2 yards was the average. Obviously, 2 was his long. Mike Evans was credited for no catches. I thought Mike Evans had a catch. Didn't Mike Evans have a catch early in the game? Cameron Johnson credited for no catches. All right. The team was 28 for 228, 8.1 yards average, 1 touchdown, long of 30. There were 50 targets in this game. Okay. Now, that's the targets. Okay. And I really want to talk about the offense, but we're gonna get into it. So Sterling Shepard had a fumble, Baker Mayfield had a fumble. Sterling Shepard's was lost. Baker Mayfield's was not lost. Okay. All right. So that was the job that the Legion of Whom did on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. Let me get to your comments. Who's Josh P? Haven't seen him. Facts. I saw Hendon Hooker quarterback in the second window at BK last week. Who went in? Was it Andy Dalton that went in? Because Bryce Young was it Bryce Young? Yeah, Bryce Young got hurt. I don't even know when the UFL comes on. I think it comes on in the spring. Crazy to think he was just playing ball. Yeah, I am a Lions fan from St. Louis, and I support the home team here in Seattle and St. Louis, but I love the Lions. No, I'm just saying your dedication to watching the Battlehawks, the UFL, that means you a diehard football fan. Houston's OL is garbage. Yeah, it is. It's terrible. Coach Dan did an amazing job with the red flag challenge twice. We give the coach A+. Same with the rest of the team. I would agree with the first one. The second one, I don't even know what he was challenging. I was scratching my head on that one. I think it was 28 of 52 for Goff last year. Don't quote me on that. Could have been. Sounds about where it was. That was a revenge game from last year's game at home and lost to the Buccaneers. Sure did. Houston and Washington both overrated over the offseason, going off their QBs having some early flash. Both have defensive head coaches. GM's not making good moves like letting Tunsil go, etc. It wasn't even that they let Tunsil go, is that they traded him. They moved him. That was crazy. I did not understand that one at all. Whiteside balled out. Indeed, he did. Okay. All right. Not surprised that Monty had a bad game. Johnny Mo kept running him at Vita Vea SMH. He did. Monty's game was bad, and we're gonna talk about it. No, he didn't. That one that he dropped when he got hurt. I thought he caught one though, not that one. I thought it was like one early in the game, but I guess I'm wrong. All good. What up, though, Rant and Q? Oh yeah, I sent a message on Discord under mailbag explaining the second challenge. It was a smart and the correct challenge. Okay, I will look that up. It was something about respotting the ball, right? I heard something about this, but let's see. If y'all can hear that in the background, it is a deluge going on outside of my window. All right, let's see. The second challenge. This came out of nowhere. This deluge, as I call it. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay, can we come on? Thank you. All right. So I figured out what we were challenging. So we were challenging if it was a catch. Since we were challenging if it was a catch, that includes ball placement. If we would have challenged ball placement, assumes that the catch was good. It did. No. I was talking about the second challenge. So what? Okay, there was a challenge where we didn't know what he was challenging. Which one was that? Because now I'm confused. All right, let me read it. Since we were challenging if it was a catch, that includes ball placement. If we would have challenged ball placement, it assumes that the catch was good. It then checks if there was a fumble. It would have determined that he was down with no fumble without checking ball placement. So we basically traded a timeout, losing on a challenge for the ball turnover on downs, and it was the only way it would have worked. Yeah, I know, weird rule. Okay, yeah. So now I remember. The one that I was talking about was where he challenged when they recovered the fumble, and we were like, "What is he challenging?" Because it was clear that they had recovered the fumble. That's the one that I was talking about. The Tyrus Week punch out of Baker Mayfield. Yeah, that one. Same thing. Get a divorce equals let my wife go. Refs repeatedly were screwing the Lions for the Bucs until some fans chanted, "Refs, you suck," for something like that for about 12 seconds. Though close to the end, refs screwed Bucs once, tripped QB. All right, my question is that when the Lions won the game is now 5-2, and why Green Bay is still number one and not us, and their record was 4-1-1. That doesn't make any sense. Can you answer that? So basically, it's because their losing percentage is lower than the Lions' losing percentage. And it's very negligible because they've played 6 games and the Lions have played 7. So I don't know, who are they playing? Are they playing? Who are the Packers playing this coming week? Because they've been in a couple nip tuck battles with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals. So they could lose. The thing that I don't understand is how in the power rankings, not the power rankings, but the seeding, how the Lions beat the Buccaneers and are 5-2. The Buccaneers dropped to 5-2, and the Lions are still one spot under the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are the 4 seed, and the Lions are the 5 seed. Probably, okay, I just answered my own question. The Buccaneers are atop of the NFC South. So that's why they're still, because we're talking about seeding. Okay, got you. Right. So since the Lions are not atop the NFC North, they are the first seed that doesn't have anything to do with being the division leaders. Right? Because the division leaders are going to be seed 1 through 4. Okay. So whoever is the NFC East leader, the NFC West leader, the NFC North leader, the NFC South leader, those 4 are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. However they however they decide which one is higher. All right. But yeah, this is because their losing percentage is not their losing percentage is better than what the Lions losing percentage, because we have 2 straight up losses. They have 1 loss and 1 tie. That's how they're still ahead of us. Is it Hartel too? Well, we better lock him up. Hartel, you mean Hallett? Lock him down, lock him in. Hey, we struggling with these names now. Deluge going on outside your window sounds like every morning in the Philippines. Yeah, I had a lot of that in Malaysia. Mr. Lupe Lion says, "What's good, Don P? How do you feel about the run on the first down? I feel that was the play that was stopped the most." We definitely will get into. We're after I get the your comments, we're gonna get into the offense next. I think the second challenge was regarding if Bucs didn't properly catch the ball when it hit the ground, but there was a second review. So no, I'm talking about the fumble one. I'm not, and I don't, whichever order they came in. I'm talking about the one that we were like, what is he doing? What is he challenging because of the fumble? I understood why they were challenging the Otten catch. They play the Steelers next. Oh yes. Ron revenge game. I feel like the Steelers could win that one. It might be a shootout. We'll see. But I feel like are they in? They gotta be in well, they don't have to be because they were just in Arizona. Are they in Pittsburgh or are they in Green Bay? That's how this is. They don't. So basically, because they played 6 games, they're not evened out yet. So it'll even out when they play next week and we're on a bye. The Packers play the Steelers next. I would hope not. Antonio Jenkins, I think we will make moves at the deadline, especially if you get a team like Miami who's fire selling, who should be fire selling and should be firing their head coach. Watch Packers lose to Vikings. The Packers could lose to the Vikings, but they don't play them next week. The Vikings are terrible. Carson Wentz is bad. Carson Wentz, he looks specially abled. That's all I'm gonna say. They're playing in Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers might get that one. Yeah, okay. I think the Steelers might get that one. All right. Let's talk about this offense because different time, different circumstances. There are conflicting reports about the offense. JMO had a tweet or a post on IG. If you haven't seen the post on IG, I generally just show stuff from my phone because it's a lot easier than trying to drag media into OBS and all this other stuff. All right. So the picture on IG, hold on. What? Okay, this is from JPA. I don't know if this is true. It says breaking: Brandon Graham is expected to announce tomorrow that he's coming out of retirement to rejoin the Eagles, per Jeff Kern, CBS. I thought he was still he had retorn his biceps in the Super Bowl, so that's weird. All right. Kirby Joseph. Okay. So here it is. JMO posted both of these pictures on IG. Okay. Let's look at the target share. Now, JMO has said, we don't know what this is about. Okay. Shout out to real fans, but there are people like this that piss me off. I'm just going to read. I'm not going to say who it is. We're talking about targeting. It says, get this man the ball. This guy says, I think it's because it's a bye week. Cool. I would roll with that. He says also they did. He got a bunch of shots in the second half last night. He just didn't catch. He just didn't catch ish. LOL. Now I watched the game live, and unless my eyes are lying to me, J-Mo only had 2 targets. They don't count the offensive pass interference as a target because it was wiped off by the penalty. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that stands as a target. He only had 3 targets in the entire game. So I don't know what constitutes as a bunch of targets in the second half. I will look at the target share with you. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 10 targets, 6 receptions. Jahmyr Gibbs, 3 targets, 3 receptions. Brock Wright, 3 targets, 3 receptions. David Montgomery, 2 targets, 3 receptions. Khalif Raymond, 3 targets, 2 receptions. Khalif Raymond, 3 targets, 3 receptions. Sam Laporta, 3 targets, 3 receptions. Jameson Williams, 2 targets, no receptions. Isaac Tesla, 1 target, no receptions. Are my eyes lying to me again as I look at the box score and see that Jameson Williams only had 2 targets? See, it's people like that that just lie so easily to try to put out their narrative. And the reason that it pisses me off is because there are people that believe you, right? That didn't watch the game, didn't have anything to do with the game, wanted to watch the game, but they missed it because they had to go to their sister's ballet recital or whatever the case may be. Not hardcore fans. But these not hardcore fans will then come behind you and retweet that stuff and be like, yeah, J-Mo didn't catch his because they want to be part of the conversation. Stop doing that, bro. If you have a problem with J-Mo, that's on you. Don't invent lies against the man. If you have a problem with any player, don't invent lies against the man. That didn't happen. So that didn't happen. Hold on 1 second. All right. Anyway, let's go over the target share. I don't know what's happening. Something's about to happen in the house, so just bear with me. Because everyone, including David from Motor City Mania, were saying the Lions versus Bucs would be a high-scoring game for both teams. I jokingly said our team would win a low-scoring game, 10-6. Yes, that is true. What up, though, Lisa? They doubled JMO like crazy. There was no OPI, very weak. Facts. Yeah, it was only 2 targets. One was too low, and the other one was too high. We have many offensive targets on the Lions. J-Mo, 20 touches in 7 games. Johnny Mo, better fix that. Shizer. It was not J-Mo's night. It's probably fans of other teams and or haters of the Lions who are being disingenuous about J-Mo, maybe even Vikings fans. Unfortunately, independent Aquaman, I can tell you for certain that a lot of it is coming from Lions fans. There's just a certain segment of fans of the Lions who hate the player Jameson Williams. So for whatever reason, because I guess he's a thug, something like that. But here's my take on the offense. Okay. When Johnny Mo says whatever, I don't care what it is, I'm targeting Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you give him 10 targets, and it was clear that there were, if you go back and watch the film, it was clear that it was a force feeding type of situation. And there was a lot made about him dropping the ball on 4th down last week. And I keep saying you weren't going to win last week's game last night. That just wasn't the case. Last week's game was over. Making up for it with 10 targets didn't make a whole lot of sense. Teams double J-Mo, teams cover him in a certain type of way. And sure, you don't want to give up a 60-yard touchdown over the top. You don't want to give a 70-yard touchdown over the top. That's cool. So the shell coverage, the bracket coverage, sometimes dedicating 3, 2 safeties in a corner to him, that's fine. But my question is, does Jameson Williams have to live downfield? Is there something stopping him from trading off with Amon-Ra St. Brown? Is there something stopping him from running crossing routes? Is there something stopping you from running layers? Now, I was watching a show called X's and O's. I think it was yesterday, sometime before the game. And I saw a layer concept where Sam Laporta was the first layer, Jameson Williams was the second layer, and I don't remember who the layer was over the top. Jameson Williams was wide open on the second layer. You do it to Sam Laporta, you got a nice gain because Jameson Williams also, once you threw it to Sam Laporta, he converted directly into a blocker. He didn't sulk. He didn't sag his shoulders. He didn't lower his head. He stayed within the play and went and did his job. He didn't catch the ball. He went to block. That's the type of player that Jameson Williams is. That's the type of player that Jameson Williams has been. And I feel like what's happening is that you're taking it for granted. I'm not telling you to force feed J-Mo. This is not what I'm saying. Just as Dan Campbell was asked about the balance between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and he said he'd like to have it more balanced. 10 targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown and 2 targets for Jameson Williams. That's crazy. Jameson Williams is your number 2 wide receiver, correct? Go look at the target share between Judders and Addison. Right? I was watching that game versus the Eagles, the Vikings versus the Eagles, and whoever was on the call was saying that Jordan Addison is the best number 2 wide receiver in the league. Now, our offense doesn't operate the same way that the Vikings offense operates, the same way as the Cowboys offense operates, the same way as the Pittsburgh Steelers offense operates, the same way as the Kansas City Chiefs offense operates, right? Now, if it did operate like the Kansas City Chiefs of old, that would be great. However, I would just like to see the ball spread around more. Okay? They're not gonna come off of Jameson Williams. They would rather you beat them with Amon-Ra St. Brown, death by 1,000 paper cuts, instead of just getting that big chunk play. They would rather you do that. Okay? My thing is reward your players. Jameson Williams doesn't complain. Jameson Williams, he was rewarded with money. Okay? But a lot of these players don't play the game specifically for money. And especially if you play for the Detroit Lions, you play for the love of the game. This is who they get in the building. People who love the game of football. So if you love the game, like Aleem McNeil, he talked about how much joy he had coming back. He didn't realize how much joy he had taken away from him until it was taken away from him. The joy of being out there, that is what he was appreciative for when he got back, when he came out there yesterday and he played his tail off. Not, oh, I got to make a paycheck. Oh, I got my money. Oh, no, none of that. Oh, I got all these stats. Oh, I looked good. Somebody send my highlights to me so I can watch them tonight? I got this big TV on my ceiling, and when I go to bed at night, I check out my highlights. And I just say, man, that dude is that dude. No, that wasn't what it was about. It was about his joy of playing football that had been taken away from him. And he was so appreciative and happy to have that joy back. So this is all I'm saying. You may be winning games and numbers may say what they say about the offense, but I'm telling you, there have been a lot of times this season, and it's only 7 games in, that I've looked at this offense and said, something looks off. Something looks off. So that's all I'm saying. The J-Mo stuff, he's not going to be a malcontent. He's not, and he's never been that. He's never complained about targets. He's told you himself he doesn't care about targets. Yeah, he may have tweeted those things or posted those things because it's the bye week. And just like we were like, what are we going to do with 2 weeks without Lions football? What are we going to do? He may be feeling the exact same way. He's bored. He can't go play football. Right? Football is what he loves to do. He's got a whole week off for the bye where he's not going to go to practice. He's not going to be in the facility. I'm sure he could be in the facility for something if he wanted to be, right? It's probably something along those lines. It's probably not target share. I am the official keeper of the JMO. I want to see him get more targets because I like watching Jameson Williams with the football in his hands. I like watching electric players, just like I love to watch Jahmyr Gibbs. I would love to watch Jameson Williams be electric on the field. I would love to use him like a true number 2 wide receiver instead of a decoy. But that is just my personal opinion. But I do believe that it does make your offense more dynamic. Here's a stat. I said this stat yesterday, and here's a stat for those of you that don't know it. We have Jameson Williams, who's supposed to be a premier deep threat and all these things. But we can't get him the ball deep. But if you got the ball in his hands 3, 4, 5 yards down the field and let him cook, I'm pretty sure you could pick up 10 yards, right? You guys think so? Would you agree? Okay, let me know in the chat if you would agree. Okay, right. Now, as you agree, as you type in, yeah, I agree. Yep, that makes sense. Yep, if you got him the ball 3, 4, 5 yards down the field, I'm pretty sure he could get 10 yards for you. I'm pretty sure he could get 20. He could get 30, 40, 50. We've seen it happen. This year, this season alone. You guys ready for this? Because it's going to knock your socks off. I hope you're all sitting down. You know it is impossible for us to pick up 10 yards on a third down this season. Here's the stat. We are 0 and 20. The O being the first, being the most significant part. We are 0 and 20. That means 0 means it ain't ever happened. We are 0 and 20 in third down and 10 plus. If it is third and 10, there is a 0% chance that we will pick up a first down. For those of you that want me to be more positive, right? Glass half empty, glass half full. There's 100% chance that we will not pick up a first down. See how I started off with 0% and that was negative. So I went with 100% and that's more positive, right? 100%, 100%. Yeah, execute 100%, 100%. Hashtag if you know, use the hashtag. So because we are 0 for 20 in situations such as this, you can understand my frustration when it's 2nd and 10 and we plow up the middle for no gain, or we plow up the middle for a yard or 2 or 3. Like when it's 2nd and 10. 3rd and long ain't our thing. So we need to be trying to avoid it. And I think that's where you get questions about Johnny Morton's play calling. That's where you get questions about how does he anticipate the flow of the game? How does he work within the flow of the game and things of this nature? Now, it works more often than not. Let me be clear. It works more often than not. But I feel like running the ball straight up the gut on 2nd and 10 is not the best way to live. Yesterday, both teams were paltry on 3rd down. Okay, let's see what our percentage was. Let me see if I can find it. That is all. Okay, that's the box score. Okay, let's go with team stats. See if I can find the team stats. All right. Yes. Third down efficiency. Team for the Detroit Lions. That's crazy, right? 3 of 13. For a high-powered offense, this is supposed to be the second best offense in the league. For your coach to come out and tell you after half when they're like, "Well, what can you guys do better?" Well, damn, we got to get a first down on third down, or maybe we should stay out of third down since we can't. For Dan Campbell to say that, you have to understand this thing ain't looking great, and this thing definitely can be improved upon. And there are a lot of things that we could do to improve upon it. And one more thing before I get to your comment. Jahmyr Gibbs 78-yard Javed Best moment. Okay, I was corrected. Javed Best was 88 yards, so it was 10 yards less. But I'm still giving it to Jahmyr. Without that 78-yard run, Jahmyr Gibbs with the 78-yard run averaged 8 yards a carry. Without the 78-yard run, Jahmyr Gibbs averaged 3.6 yards per carry. David Montgomery averaged 1.8 yards per carry. Does that feel like a high-powered attack to you? Jahmyr Gibbs balled out. Jahmyr Gibbs did his thing. A lot of that stuff was Jahmyr Gibbs. The 78-yard run wasn't Jahmyr Gibbs at all. It was Tate Ratledge. It was the boys opening up that hole. And he said once he got 12 yards down the field, he knew it was a touch. Once he got 12 yards, he's like, I got a first down plus 2 yards, and nobody's catching it. Okay. So that was an extreme hole. Once he got to the secondary, he knew it was a touchdown. I'm just saying, those are the numbers. We say numbers lie or men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Numbers do lie. Okay. And I pointed out when the numbers lie. We don't take away yards, we don't take away runs, we don't take away any of that. Like I said, Saquon Barkley in New York was the king of 2 yards per carry until he busts off an 80-yard run. And then it was like, oh, he got 5 yards per carry. It looked a lot more respectable because he had that 1 yard, one run. Okay. But my point is, if you were to take away that one run, 3.6 yards per carry doesn't look great. 1.8 yards per carry from Monty is atrocious, especially because he had 13 carries. So, all right, let me get to your comments. I know y'all been waiting. JMO Tutti loading against Minnesota. Hopefully, you got to throw him the ball. Maybe. Well, I mean, sometimes you don't have to throw him the ball more than twice for him to score 2 touchdowns. Keep in mind that Coach Dan probably wasn't yet trusting a substitute D, so he wanted Goff to take a while to get TDs instead of instant TDs with JMO. You know, the offense squandered almost every opportunity that they had because that substitute D kept giving them the ball back. Remember, 3 and out, 3 and out. The first two possessions that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had, 7 points from the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions got the ball first. You did. We got the ball first. We got the ball. We went down and scored. Then 3 and out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then 3 and out for us. Then 3 and out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then again, we're 7 points. So I do understand the point of not trusting the substitute defense, but that offense was looking kind of substitute as well. Bad signal here in the Southwest Desert. Robert Stevens says, "Big win, let's go Lions." For sure, for sure. Appreciate you tapping in wherever you are. JMO has 30 targets, 17 receptions, 289 yards, and 2 touchdowns this season. Needs to be higher than that. And I'm not a salary justified guy. I was over the moon. Yeah, I made videos. 5 more years, 5 more years when Jameson Williams signed his extension. I don't like them using him as a decoy. I don't like how the targets are just off. Okay, like we're throwing it at his feet or we're throwing it over his head. I don't like how it's a struggle to get him involved in the game, especially when Johnny Moe came in here talking about how we were just going to go downfield and it was going to be explosive, this, that, and the third thing. Well, then you're going, well, they're playing shell coverage and they're tripling them up, and that's just the way it is. No, dude, get the man involved in the game. Look at how all these other teams use their players who are supposed to be premier players, other than the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, right? But look at how the Cincinnati Chiefs. Look at how the Kansas City Chiefs use Xavier Worthy. Did they just go, yeah, well, he's super fast, and we'll just run him deep and use him as a decoy because nobody wants him to beat us over the top? No, that's not how it works. 5-2 says Mr. Detroit City. That is facts. My thing, Johnny Moe can't get JMO and Demo going. That's my problem with the offense. Um, Here's the thing. He's got 289 yards in a 7-game stretch. Let's just make that 300. Okay. If he averages the same thing over the next 7 games, he's got 300 more. He's got 600 yards. And then he may end the season with 700 or maybe not even 700. If you said, okay, yeah, 14, 17, right. So he may end the season with, let's say, 750 if everything averages out the same way. Last season, he had 1,000. 750 wouldn't be bad, especially for a number 2 wide receiver. But this is a guy who, with all the talk, we were like, man, he might challenge Amon-Ra St. Brown because Amon-Ra St. Brown going to get about 1,500. He might be around 12, 13. Not the way this is looking. And again, you're winning. But Jameson Williams having 12, 1,300 yards along with Amon-Ra having 14, 1,500 of his own means that the offense is high flying and high powered. And you are getting a lot of explosives. And Jameson Williams doesn't need that many targets. He had 1,000. He had the least amount of targets and catches and receptions for any receiver last year with 1,000 yards. So we know what he can do. Why could Osama because he's happy because he's like, oh, Johnny Morton is allowing me to run more routes than Osama was. But damn, I'm just running routes on air pretty much. I'm not actually getting involved in this game. So he probably does feel some type of way because he thought he was going to be featured in this offense. Now he doesn't care because he's here to block, he's here to get water, he's here to do whatever it is, whatever he needs to do to win. But something in every player's mind, right? It's like, man, can I get the ball every now and again? I mean, I'm over here eating lunch. I'm over here, I'm taking a coffee break. Can I get the ball every now and again? So that's probably where he's at. The real question at this point is who is faster in open space, Jamo or Panay? Hey, Panay gets to rolling. Um, Partially agree. We're 0% for 3rd and 10 because our coach also considers 4th downs. Sadly, 4th down should be a bonus exception, not an expectation. Yeah, those are bad calls. Those are bad calls when you're like, well, we'll just get 5 yards on 3rd down because we're gonna go for it on 4th. Nah, that's a bad call, right? You should be trying to get the ball. You should be trying to get the yardage on 3rd and 10 so that you won't get into 4th down. Going for it on fourth down is a luxury that you have, and that's great. You're converting 46% of those. But when you don't convert a fourth down, that's it, right? And I've always hated the way they do those things. Yes, it works, but it puts tremendous pressure on you when it doesn't work. So the best way for it not for us not to worry about fourth down is try harder to not get into it. So on second and 10, you go, let's plow up the middle because we got three more down or we got two more downs. Why make things hard on yourself? Work hard, smarter, not harder. Um, we score 30.70 points per game for the NFL. We are fine. Johnny Morton is better than Osama bin Johnson. Can't wait for everyone to eat their words when Johnny is holding the trophy with his hat on backwards. I would love that to happen. I'm just saying you're throwing numbers at me, and I'm throwing what the offense looks like at you. See, I look with my eyes and I go, there's something a bit off. Numbers are numbers. Numbers are skewed. We scored 52 of those points on the Chicago Bears. So, right now, what did our defense look like to you last night? Did that look like a top five defense to you? Because the numbers say we're not, but your eyes said this looks like a top five defense. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying because it works both ways. Bro, his only trick is the hook and ladder. I'm sorry. His only trick is the hook and ladder, and he keeps running it. The Bucs is 4-16 on third down. Facts. JMO 175, two TDs in the Super Bowl, and JMO laugh at every. That would be awesome. So what you're saying here is if they win a Super Bowl, nothing matters. Nothing else matters. Okay? But the inadequacies and the lack of proficiency, which is happening more often, okay? It happened very often in the Chiefs game. The Bucs game, it happened very often, but our defense did so well, it didn't matter. Right? My question is this: in games against good teams, when the offense has to bail you out because maybe the defense ain't having a great game, when it is an actual shootout, what are you doing this season? You understand what I'm saying? That's all. Um, PFF numbers lie because they do not include how these results happen, whereas deep analytics numbers don't lie because they mention the how. You know, PFF, the craziest part, and the reason that PFF is so horrible is that there are people that pay for PFF. There are people that pay for PFF, like it's a subscription to get these made up numbers that they come up with. Ali McNeil apparently was the lowest graded PFF player in the game last night. Ali McNeil. I'm just saying. Yeah, Monty had 13 carries, most at the end when they literally had 11 lined up in the box. Um, Got to go back and look at it. They did kind of alternate. Um, I know, but it was not expected for a sub D to ball out even more than starting D. So the expectation was that the Bucs would finally catch on. Thankfully, they didn't. I could agree with you if they haven't been living downfield with Jameson Williams. Like he's been running deep routes since day one. and you don't see him near the line of scrimmage, which is where he needs to be if they're going to take away what it is deep. Get the ball in that man's hands near the line of scrimmage, not on a jet sweep or a wide receiver. Excuse me. Not on none of that. But I'm just saying. I was looking for you yesterday, bro, because I was like, where is Mr. Detroit City? Brock Wright got 3 catches. Eagles finally used their premier wide receivers this weekend. I guess they didn't want him to be traded away. LOL. Yeah. Speaking of playing in Minnesota on the 2nd of November, the way they played at home last night's game, I wanted to see the Lions do the same thing, get us a win, 62 record. I believe we're at home against Minnesota. Um, yeah, I think they're coming. They're coming here. Well, you got to throw him the ball for him to catch it. And the first one that they threw was at his feet, so hard to. The one that they threw that was on target, he caught it. And they called a phantom offensive pass interference. Nobody don't want to play them cheating jerks. I dislike them cheating jerks, including that crybaby wimp number 15. They need to stop cheating, period. And their referee sticks for sure. I guess we're talking about the Chiefs. The funny thing is that JMO was cooking DBs from all of the preseason practices that they showed. Where is that? Well, he was cooking DBs one on one. He's not getting too many one on ones. And I think one on ones for him are so rare that when you do get them, maybe they just don't get realized. I don't know. Maybe you think that they're trying to disguise the coverage to get you to bite and then throw it deep and have a safety come over the top and pick it off. I don't know. You were wrong about Aaron Glenn, although being a HC is far harder than being a DC. Mind you, Shepard is vastly outperforming Glenn at the DC role, probably due to making game adjustments versus not. I don't think I ever said anything about Aaron Glenn being better than Shep or Shep not being better than Aaron Glenn. Um, my opinion was that we would wait and see, but I wasn't worried about Shep. So I don't think I ever said that. Just here to support you as a fan. My truth isn't everyone else's truth. I feel you. I feel you. Here's Johnny. Maybe Tater Tot and Mahogany can't hold their blocks long enough yet for Morton to unload the full bag of routes for JMO. Again, I'm not asking you for deep routes. I'm not asking you for bang eights, skinny posts, none of that. Just give me some slants, some quick slants. Everybody can hold their block for 2 seconds. That's all I'm asking for to get them involved. You throw a quick slant to JMO 3 yards in front of the line of scrimmage and watch him take it 75 yards an hour. The one thing I can say about Johnny Mo is he is less likely to get cute when we don't need to be cute. I hate that we have ran the hook and ladder 2 times in the first 7 games. Yeah, it becomes predictable. When you see Amon-Ra St. Brown in the backfield and Jahmyr Gibbs behind them, you know what's coming. That's why it was so difficult for him to get those 2 yards on 4th. Or maybe Goff deserves more blame for not getting into JMO and not Morton. He is the big money QB everybody loves. Um, at the end of the day, guys like Matt Stafford would get the ball to JMO regardless of who is OC, etc. Goff do your job. So the only thing that I can say about that is that JMO is not 6'5", 240. Okay. JMO's not 6'5", 240 with an 80-inch vertical. You're not going to throw it up to him in the midst of 3 players and expect him to come down with it. Calvin Johnson, you expected that. You know what I mean? So I would say that is the difference. Predominantly consistent fact. No, that's not a joke. PFF is for nerds that don't watch football. I'm convinced that most people use PFF when regular numbers don't fit their narrative. Yeah, you can find numbers to fit your narrative, and that's what PFF does. So I would say you are 100% correct. Alton says the thing is they did not play a depleted team. What surprised them and ultimately led to their defeat was more than a team, but a culture. I'm guessing you're talking about the Bucks. PFF. Okay, yeah, we got that one. KC tweets. I got it. Oh, all right. We're having an argument about Stafford. uh, all right. So the final thing that I'll say about the offense is this: um, the offense is still a work in progress. I feel like if we're gonna say who is the better coordinator, I'm definitely gonna say Shep 100% of the time. 100% of the time. I feel like Shep is just his energy. He's infectious, but I feel like a defensive coordinator has to be more fiery, more energetic, um, more raring to go than an offensive coordinator. I believe Johnny Moe has some blind spots, um, and it's fair to criticize a person also when they're up because when you see, okay, yeah, they're averaging 30.7 points per game. Awesome. Why are they averaging 30.7? Well, 2 games ago it was 35, but they failed to score even 30 the last 2 games. The one game they scored 17 and the other one they scored 24. They still haven't gotten to 30. So that's the point. What can you do to make the offense better? What can you do to stop from getting into 3rd and 10 plus? What can you do to take that number from 20 to 10? What can you do to take that number from 20 to 5 going forward? Right? If you say, okay, boom, after the bye week, in the next 7 games, we're going to have 5 of those opportunities where we were 3rd and 10 plus. When in doubt, throw it to St. Brown. Okay, cool. That works. But how many points did the offense leave on the field yesterday? Like there were people saying it should have been 28 to nothing at the half, or it should have been 35 to nothing at the half. This is the problem that I have. Right? We have to keep making excuses. If this offense was truly like I have one question for y'all. my question. We were averaging 35 points per game earlier this season, right? Okay, follow me. And here's where you're gonna have to go back a little bit in the way back machine, a little bit. But this is where I'm gonna prove my point to all those people that say, "Oh, we're averaging this amount and this, that, and the third thing. And we're 5-2." That's great, right? We were averaging 35 points per game earlier this season. The greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams, averaged 32.9 points per game in their 1999 season. Does our offense this year look closer to the greatest show on turf or our offense last year? Go ahead, I'll wait. I just want to know. I'm gonna wait for y'all's responses in the chat. Now, Shep does have the advantage of being on the staff for longer. He has no familiarity with his. He has no familiarity with his players than Johnny Moe. Like I said yesterday, Johnny Moe is still learning the players. These are facts. These are facts. I think it's the approach of coaching. As I said, when I thought the biggest difference with Shep would be the fact that the defense comes from the defensive line up, whereas AG was focused from the secondary down. This is the problem. Coach Shep played in the middle of the defense, so he knows the responsibilities of the guys in front of him and the responsibilities of the guys behind him, and he knows how cohesively they can work together. That's what I thought was the advantage. We're talking about playing the position, and you are secondary centric. Well, you also weren't getting a whole lot of help on your defensive line because we've only had Hutch. You know what I mean? Hopefully he can pick up the pace as the season goes along. I hope so. Browns had best D, Bucks had one of the best D, Bears were one of the worst, and the Ravens were the worst D, and the refs backed the Chiefs. That is why. What do you mean? That's why what? I don't understand what you're saying. How many points did we put? Look, we put up more points on the Browns than we did against the Chiefs. The Chiefs game wasn't all about the referees. The Lions didn't play well enough to win that game. They did not. We struggled like for the first. How many points did we put up against the Bengals? We left points out there too. This is what I'm saying. If you can look at this offense and say, oh, it's right now, this offense is a well-oiled machine and it's humming along and it's it, then I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you. I can't. Yeah. Who blocked you? Oh, Mr. Detroit City. Oh, okay. The offense last year looks way closer to the greatest show on turf than this was on. Okay. All right. I understand that, but our offense didn't play well enough to win. They scored 17. They didn't play well enough. People dropped passes. People threw bad passes. They didn't play well enough. I can't blame the referees for why your offense didn't play well enough. They They called back a touchdown. Facts. But then you got 3 points, and then on the very next drive, you drove right back down and got 7 more points. Okay? That was 10 points. Can you tell me why your offense scored 7 points for the rest of the game? This is the point that I'm making. AG defense was good, but two of the 3 years, uh, 2 to 3 years behind, in my opinion, Shep sees the current trend better. Aquaman doesn't know there are 2 streams and you can jump between. I guess that's why. It says make sure to subscribe to both. Yes. Appreciate you, Mr. Detroit City. Make sure you do subscribe to both of the streams. Um, so listen, I only talk about the things that happen in the offense because I want the offense to be better. Right? We have injuries on our defense. And it's always our defense. Thankfully, we don't have injuries on the offense like that. So what the offense can do, the best thing that the offense can do is to play complementary football to help the defense. You shouldn't have to rely on Herculean efforts from the Legion of whom. The fact that we have the ability to do it is awesome, right? The fact that every single one of those guys had a chip on their shoulder, led by Amik Robertson, is awesome. However, this is not something that you want to go into this playoff push or the stretch run of the season and not have figured out. So I think a big thing to do in this bye week is to go back, and I'm pretty sure Dan is going to do this. He's going to sit Johnny Moe down and David Shaw and Hank Fraley and say, how can we avoid getting Monty 13 carries for 1.8 yards per carry? How can we avoid getting Gibbs 8 yards per carry, but it's not for that big gain, it's 3.6? How can we get this looking better? How can we get JMO more targets? Right? Because I said in the NFC North report yesterday, JG threw for, and I look at it again, 241 yards. The vast majority of those 241 yards came from 2 people. I think it was 168 of those yards came from 2 people. And those 2 people were Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, a running back. Right? Amon-Ra St. Brown had 86 yards receiving. Jahmyr Gibbs had 82. That's 168 yards of the 241. This is what I mean. Yes, we've got a bunch of weapons, but at times it just looks very disjointed. At times it just doesn't look like it's efficient. I'm talking about the eye test. I don't care about the numbers. I'm watching the game. I'm watching them. I'm looking at them. I'm not reading them. You understand what I'm saying? Sub here and there. Sub everywhere. Last season, when the Lions made it into the red zone, it was almost a foregone conclusion that we were going to score. I can't say that this season. Facts. I'm not saying our team was innocent regarding execution. We're almost innocent regarding game rules. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, even when succeeding. At the end. By succeeding at the end, I don't mean the game results, but each play's result. Excuse me. Don, any good AFL talent over there you think could help us? I don't watch the AFL. I really don't. I don't watch the AFL. I don't have time to watch the AFL. Tesla still not getting separation is concerning. I'm not concerned about Tesla not getting separation. He's a rookie. I I'm not gonna be really concerned about anything that I see from a rookie because they're rookies and there's a learning curve and they've gotta develop. If our Lions had always succeeded with each play despite blatantly corrupt reffing against our Lions, might have won by 1 point against the Chiefs. Might have. What is AMKBBL? Last season, when Jake Bates lined up for a kick, especially a long one, it was almost a foregone conclusion it was going to go in. Also, have faith God as a plan for the team. I feel like I don't know. Jake Bates, like I said, he's pulling kicks to the left and the right, so he needs to get that fixed. He needs to go train with Brandon Aubrey. That man's kick don't do nothing but go straight down the center. And you'd be like, "What do you do? Let me see your operation. How do you? What's your swing look?" We haven't even used the jumbo package this season. It's dangerous because we could run and pass from it, bring back the jumbo package. I feel like that's been a lot of injuries. Um, Taylor Decker yesterday was, at one point you could see him grabbing at his shoulder, and he wasn't 100%. He came out there to, to give it a better job than Dan Skipper or Gio could do, and he did that. But you know, I don't know. I think and it might not be injuries. Again, and I understand it like this. Look, there's a conflict with Johnny Morton. He is basically calling an offense that he helped develop, but if he any wrinkles that he tries to put into this offense, they don't look like what they looked like last year. And we have the same players. We're gonna complain. Jameson Williams last year in 14 games because he missed two due to suspension had 1,001 yards receiving. He's played all 7 of these games and has 289 yards receiving. Make that make sense on 30 targets. Amon St. Brown felt like he had 30 targets yesterday. I mean, I know he didn't. I know he had 10, but it was 60% completion rating going to Amon St. Brown from Jared Goff. I think that's the lowest that it's been since he's been here. So again, I don't know. There's adjustments that need to be made, and there's things that need to be fixed. We also used a bunch of formations that looked the same, that had the same motion that we could run and pass last year, right? What up, though, Zach James? Is my mic low or what? Skip the weapon will be out there in jumbo I formation. Heck, he might even line up spread secret weapon. Let me check my mic to see what the levels are looking like. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm at 76. Um, I usually try to keep it between 75 and 80. So yeah, I'm at 76. So it might be you. Does it? Or the sound sounds okay. Well, I don't know what that's about, man. Um, I deleted a bunch of programs from my computer last night, so I haven't restarted it. So maybe once I restart it, it'll be um, it'll be better. But I'll figure it out. Okay. Sack to pack. What up, though? So again, I mean, we all want this team to be better. We all want um, the offense to be better. We want the defense to be better. We want all the sacks. We want all the interceptions. We want all the touchdowns. Um, we want all the 2-point conversions. We want everything. So this is not when I'm telling you what I'm seeing, and I'm saying what I'm seeing goes against the numbers. It's because it's going against the numbers. And I don't want it to not get fixed, and I don't want it to get glossed over. And believe it or not, Dan Campbell sees the same thing that I see, right? He sees it. He's looking at what is happening during these plays and what's supposed to happen and who's missing an assignment and who's making their assignment and who's doing this, that, and the third thing, right? He's not looking at he's not looking at okay, points per game. This is what it says on PFF. This is whatever. But the one thing that he did say is the game that he called for the Detroit Lions offense scored 30, they scored 17. He said, y'all are going to have to score 30 this game. And they scored 17. Had we scored 30, we probably would have won that game. I mean, it was 31 to 17 that we lost. However, if we're scoring 30, that late game outcome is going to be a lot different. So, it is what it is. All right, good. I guess just refresh the screen when if you have audio issues. Want to see Montgomery run more teams to get a fresh. I wanted to see Gibbs get 300 yards on it. That's what I wanted to see, but he didn't get it. But I mean, Tate Ratledge held his own at times against Vita Vea. I mean, I get the mentality. I get the mentality. We're gonna line up and we're gonna run bully ball and we're gonna do things like this. At some point, you got to scheme around people, and you got to respect who the people are, just like people respect Hutch. You've got to give respect to Vita Vea. You've got to give respect to Miles Garrett. You've got to give respect to Michael Parsons. You got to give respect to whoever else is on your schedule. Chris Jones. You got to give respect to these players. So I'm not gonna say that we never have double team plans and we don't do things of that nature, but I just felt like the vast majority of your runs being up the middle last night, this is disrespectful. You know what I mean? And I don't think that you should have done it. And as I said, 1.8 yards per carry, one of your running backs. So you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. We haven't had a game this season where we had Gibbs and Monty going at the same time. No, no, we haven't. Jack Campbell is so good and so young. Jack Campbell joined the Seatbelt gang last night. I don't want to get tackled by any NFL players. So, all right. So you know what time it is? You know what we do on this show, boy. We flow, boy. But before we flow, boy, we checking on your dough, boy. Mailbag, mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they're eating you? Mailbag, mailbag. Snick, 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 snick. Mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. All right, get your mailbag questions in. We have run a little long, but that's because I don't have anything to do. So, uh, get your mailbag questions in, and I'll go ahead and answer them the best my baby. To the best of my ability. Mailbag Zach J says, "How proud of your boy were you last night, Tyrus Wheat, Tyrus the virus? Oh, my man got in there. You know those guys are good. They, you know, in my red, knew that they was gonna do seven guys really get anything active. You know, he got two sacks last night. One of them was a sack, the other one was a trip sack. But you know, the real thing they call it. So I was happy for them. They was good players. They good players, and they know how to play the game. Captain Jack is a football player, is a football player, and he is the green dot. He is playing at an all pro level. Now, Coach Shep told you. I mean, AG told you that last year, right? And Coach Shep kept telling you that. And Coach Campbell told Jack that it was his defense now, and all these things. The only thing that we need for Coach Shep to keep showing his support and speaking it is with Terrion Arnold. Now, when Terrion Arnold gets on board and he does exactly what he's supposed to do, I hope what happened with Terrion Arnold sitting this game out was that he saw that if people from the Legion of Whom can do it, then he's got no excuse, none whatsoever. So it is what it is. Imagine being Tez Johnson out there. Dude looks about 115 pounds and has big, scary guys flying around out there trying to take your head off. I mean, he ain't gonna do nothing but backflip over the top of him. We need this bye week, but man, it's gonna be long. Yeah, it is. Uh, oh, Tyus Weed's got to eat his Wheaties. Oh, man, those guys get Wheaties. Tyus Wheaties. Tyus, Tyus, what's his name? Tyus Wheat? Tyus Wheat? That's what, okay. We was lucky to get Tyus Wheat. Uh, Norman Sire, I hope not. I hope not. That's a bad name to have. Uh, do I do oil changes? No, I don't. I can't wait until number 44 is back. Shep believes in him big time also. Um, facts, big facts. You know who I hope they keep on the shelf until the NFC Championship game? Marcus Davenport. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep him on the shelf. Keep him on the shelf. Mailbag. When our starting secondary comes back, who do we keep from the Legion of Whom as backups, and who do we cut? Oh, listen, this might surprise you. I'm keeping Arthur Mollett. I was critical of him because he's 32 years old, but and he didn't play well against the Chiefs. I'm keeping Arthur Mollett. I'm gonna keep Harper. His name is Thomas Harper. I finally learned his name today. His first name. I'm keeping Thomas Harper because of the Kirby Joseph knee situation. Uh, and then how many spaces do we have left? We have Rocky Yassin. We already know him. We've known him from off season, so we can't really call him part of the Legion of Boom. So, it comes down between who does it go? It comes down between Eric Hallett and Nick Whiteside. I'm definitely keeping Whiteside. Whiteside like knocked away two touchdown passes. I'm keeping Whiteside. Uh, odd man out for me would be Eric Hallett, but I don't think you cut him outright and bring him back to the practice squad. I think any of those guys that you cut, you put them back on the practice squad. But since they showed out on Monday Night Football, there might be other people champing at the bit to get them once they do go back to the practice squad. So I don't know. Davenport fell off the shelf and got hurt. I would not be surprised. Uh, no, 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 nope. Jameer Gibbs already has. I've given him what two two nicknames. He's the electrician. He's Jameer Gibbs, and then he's got Sonic, right? Um, does he have any more? So Motor City Diddy is not gonna. It's not gonna work. We're not doing it. Marcus Davenport's friend is pinky. He needs some milk. He needs some milk. I keep Harper. Yes, keeping Harper. Legion of whom kind of disrespectful because they got names. What are your thoughts? Um, I think it's cool because we didn't know who they were. Um, I call them the who's who of who he played for. So yeah, um, I think they thrive off of it. Well, I mean, it puts a chip on their shoulder um, because we don't know who they are. They now we know who they are. They announce themselves to the world. But if you call them the Legion of Whom, it's how we got to know them. It's how they came. No, I wouldn't say it's disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful. Whiteside might make it back to the practice squad. I don't know. I don't know about that. Agent Zero, that's also one. Yeah. Ton of respect for Baker Mayfield. He a good player, no lie. Yep, he ran up against a buzzsaw. Kind of wouldn't want that name to stick if you were them. Um, I mean, it's got a double meaning as well because the Legion of Boom was fantastic. So you're at the same time you're giving them their props, but you're just recognizing that these were guys who nobody knew who they were. I don't think it's a big deal. Of course you do, Kay. Of course. All right, Tom. I got some book listening to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up off of here. But I appreciate you all for coming through, stopping by, hanging out. Um, and yeah, that's gonna be that. I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll have my car by then. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna give them a call right after I get off. So once again, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And if you are not a subscriber of the Motor City Cats podcast, then what are you doing? Go over there and subscribe. Motor City Cats on YouTube. Do it. All right. Um, let's see. What's the plan for the bye week shows? Same. We're gonna do them. We're gonna be here doing them. So yeah, I'll be here. All right, y'all. Um, we are out. Peace.